All of us are seekers. We are seeking for something. Some are seeking for the lost. Some are seeking for thrills. Some are seeking for dreams. What is important is that we find that, generally speaking, there are 9 things people look for. 9 things people are always seeking or searching for. First is health, money, what we call the basics, like food, shelter, clothing, love, fame, sex, peace, freedom, and happiness. This is how people who have made studies about humankind, they say we have 9 things that we are looking for. This is what we are seeking. But today we find in the book of Kings, God himself seemed to understand that most people always are looking for something. People are looking for long life, riches, and lives of enemies. That means they want God to take revenge. They want God to punish the enemy. That is how people in the Old Testament were. They're looking for long life, riches, and vengeance. So you find that God thought Solomon will ask the same thing, because that's the way people were. People always ask for that. Even today people are asking for long life, riches, or punishment, punish the player, that kind of a thing. But yet we find Solomon is different. Solomon is different. And most often we find that we ask ourselves, why do we do what we do? The motive behind what we do, and also the motive for living for something. When we live for something or work for something, there's always 3 reasons. One, we work for ourselves. Most of us work for ourselves, for our own self-interest, for our own personal agenda. They become top priorities. So that is the first. We always work for ourselves. Somehow there's always a self-centeredness in us. Second, when we work or when we live for something, we also have the sense of the others, for the other. And here we find some elements of sacrifice comes in. The sacrificial element comes in. There's a certain self-giving. And this is what we see, why people do. And of course, the third one, which is the highest, is when people live for God or work for God, for His kingdom. So we find they put whatever that they do, their life is somehow tailored, adjusted. It moves in line with God's will, God's plan. God comes first in their lives. The 3 parables today, they reveal also our focus and our priorities, and what actually matters for us. You find that the 3 parables remind us to go for the best. Always go for the best. That is why he can sell off all the field to buy the field with the treasure. That means in our life, you find that when we are working for God, or when we are doing something of noble value, we must always go for the best. Cannot be chinchay. Cannot be half-hearted. Cannot be giving God what is worthless. We must go for the best. So if you know there are so many pieces of land, and this land has the treasure, then throw away all the others, go for it. Go for the best. And that is the first principle that we need to put into our lives. So when we serve God, we go for the best. Secondly, when we look at the drag net and the net for catching fish, it also shows us that we must separate the best from the useless. Sometimes when we are doing work, a lot of things come. Some are good, some are bad. Some are the best, some are the useless. So, we are being taught that we have to be very discerning, we have to be very prudent, we have to be very watchful to know hey, this is the best, take out the best. And don't just be happy with the useless. If it's useless, throw it away, or put it back into the sea. Fishermen, when they catch small fish useless, they throw it back. Only they take the best fish or the biggest fish. So we find that there must be the less impressive, throw it, leave it, give it away. For God, we must separate, we must filter the best and give to God. Okay? And the third thing is, when you look at the parable of the last part, it says, out of your storeroom, bring out the old and the new. What does it mean? It means, let the best of the new things, best of the old also come out of your heart, or out of your life, or out of what you have. Because not all old things are bad, There are also good ones. So you see, there are good, the best old and the best new. Bring it out of your store. So that means from inside you, if you're a disciple, there are inside you the old and the new. You have the best of the new, best of the old. And Jesus always talks about, I did not come to abolish the old. I came to fulfill the old, build upon the old. That means we must have the old. What is good, we keep with us. At the same time, the best of the new also we must have. So don't think everything new is good. Not everything new is good. Even some of the old is very good. So therefore, we are a combination of the old and new. And that must come out. So you find these are the three principles for giving God the best. Go for the best, separate the best, let the best emerge. And then you find you are able to you can go forward. So when we are seeking God, or when we are seeking the kingdom, when we are seeking the reign of God, when we are trying to build God's people, when you're doing God's work, and when you say we are trying to do God's will, so that means you must also learn from Solomon. Solomon knew, in order to build God's kingdom, to do God's work, to serve God as a good king to God's people, he needs the mind and heart of God. And that is why he prayed for wisdom. Money cannot give you intelligence and wisdom. All the power cannot give you that. Only God can give us wisdom. So you find that he asked for the wisdom of God. For what? To be a good king, to lead, to discern, to govern. At the same time, he asked for an understanding heart. So you see, to serve God, we have to be like that good King Solomon. We need an understanding heart to feel. Then secondly, you find that in order to serve God, we must also believe in all things, God's good is our good. See, God's good is our good. That is why he uses the word, in all things, God works for good for all those who love him and are called in accordance to his purpose. If you are called in his purpose, you're called in his love, God's good. And we may not like it, but that is our good. God's good is our good. Very strange. So that means we are saying God knows better. God knows the best. And that is why we find that St. Paul realized that. He said, God's good is our good. That means when we also seek, hey, I want God's good, then it becomes our good. Or when we look for ourselves, we also try to see, hey, God, what is your good for me? Then we begin to do his will. See? And the third thing is, to serve God, we must also, as I said just now, the best. Go for the best, separate the best, and let the best emerge. That principle will take us through. So today, as we have to ask ourselves one very important question. We all are doing something for God. I also doing something for God. So I need to ask myself also, am I giving my best? It's a very important question. Am I giving the best? God's best, not my best. God's standard is higher than my standard, His benchmark is higher than my benchmark. Okay, so are you giving God your best? Am I giving God's people the best? Am I giving the best to those who I care for when God has put in my care? We have to ask that question. Okay? And then just remember this. Our standard should be God's good. Because God's good is our good.